There's something I want to say to you today, and I need you to really hear it, not just listen, not just nod your head, but actually feel it. Because most people go their entire lives without ever understanding this one simple truth. If you don't think about yourself, nobody else will. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I don't mean you should ignore the people you love or stop caring about others. What I mean is deeper than that. I mean that if you don't take responsibility for your own direction, your own growth, your own standards, then you will slowly, quietly become a product of other people's expectations. And that is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a human being. You see, from a very young age, we are trained to look outward. We are taught to seek approval. We are told to behave in ways that make others comfortable. We learn to measure our worth based on how we are seen, how we are judged, how we are accepted. And slowly, without even realizing it, we begin to lose something. We lose ourselves. We start making decisions not because they are right for us, but because they are acceptable to others. We say yes when we want to say no. We stay quiet when we need to speak. We shrink ourselves to fit into spaces that were never meant for us. And over time, this becomes normal. But let me tell you something very clearly, normal does not mean right. There comes a moment in life when you have to stop and ask yourself a question. Not the kind of question you answer quickly and move on from, but the kind that forces you to pause, to reflect, to confront the truth. Am I living my life, or am I living a life that was designed by someone else? Because those are two very different things. Thinking about yourself always means having the courage to ask that question, and more importantly, having the courage to act on the answer. It means understanding that your time is limited, your energy is limited, your potential is limited only by how much you are willing to invest in yourself. And if you spend all of that trying to meet everyone else's expectations, you will wake up one day feeling empty. Not because you didn't do enough, but because you never did what mattered to you. We live in a world that constantly pulls our attention outward. Social media, opinions, comparisons, noise, it's everywhere, and it's loud. So loud that it drowns out the one voice that actually matters, your own. And the truth is, most people are afraid to listen to that voice. Because when you finally do, it doesn't whisper comfortable things. It doesn't tell you to stay where you are. It doesn't say, "You're fine, just keep doing what you're doing." No. It challenges you. It tells you that you're capable of more. It reminds you of the dreams you buried. It points out the compromises you've made. It forces you to see the gap between who you are and who you could become. And that gap, that space between your current reality and your true potential, is where growth happens. But growth is uncomfortable. Growth requires you to think about yourself in a way that most people avoid. It requires honesty. It requires accountability. It requires you to stop blaming circumstances, stop pointing fingers, and start taking ownership. Because at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. Not your parents, not your friends, not society, not luck, yours. And when you truly understand that, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking for validation. You stop asking, what will people think? And you start asking, what do I think? That shift, that small but powerful shift, is where real freedom begins. Thinking about yourself always means setting standards. Not based on what is easy, but based on what is right. It means deciding the kind of person you want to be and refusing to compromise on that, no matter how inconvenient it becomes. It means protecting your time like it's the most valuable asset you have, because it is. It means being intentional about where you invest your energy. It means surrounding yourself with people who elevate you, not drain you. And sometimes it means walking away. Walking away from situations that no longer serve you. Walking away from relationships that hold you back. Walking away from environments that make you feel small. And that's hard, because walking away often feels like loss. But what you have to understand is this: not everything you lose is a loss. Sometimes it's a step forward. Sometimes the very thing you're holding on to is the thing that's keeping you stuck. And when you finally let go, you create space for growth, for clarity, for something better. Thinking about yourself always also means investing in your growth. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but consistently. Because the truth is, the person you are today is not the person you need to be to reach the life you want. There is a gap, and that gap can only be closed through effort, discipline, and a willingness to improve. It means reading when others are scrolling. It means learning when others are distracted. It means showing up when others are making excuses. It means doing the work even when nobody is watching, especially when nobody is watching. Because that's where character is built. That's where habits are formed. That's where you prove to yourself that you are serious about becoming more. And let me be very clear, this is not easy. There will be days when you doubt yourself. Days when you feel tired. Days when you question whether it's even worth it. But those are the days that matter the most. Because anyone can stay committed when things are going well. Anyone can be motivated when the results are visible, but real growth, real transformation happens in the moments when you choose to keep going despite the discomfort. When you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose long-term growth over short-term pleasure. Thinking about yourself always also means understanding your worth. Not in a loud, arrogant way. Not in a way that puts others down. But in a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing who you are. It means no longer accepting less than you deserve. It means no longer tolerating disrespect. It means no longer shrinking yourself to fit into spaces where you are not valued. Because when you truly know your worth, you stop negotiating with it. You stop settling. You stop chasing approval. And instead, you start attracting the kind of life that aligns with who you are. But here's the part that most people don't want to hear. Thinking about yourself always means making difficult choices. It means saying no more often than you say yes. It means prioritizing your goals over temporary comfort. It means standing alone at times because not everyone will understand your journey. And that's okay, because not everyone is meant to. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to support you. You just need to be clear about your direction. You just need to stay committed to your path. Because the moment you start living for everyone else, you lose control of your own life. And once you lose that control, it's very hard to get it back. So you have to be intentional. You have to be aware. You have to remind yourself again and again that your life is yours, not theirs, yours. And with that comes responsibility. Responsibility to grow. Responsibility to improve. Responsibility to become the best version of yourself, not for validation, not for applause, but because you owe it to yourself. Because deep down, you know what you're capable of. You've felt it. You've seen glimpses of it. Moments where you pushed yourself and surprised even yourself. Moments where you stepped outside your comfort zone and realized there's more inside you than you thought. Those moments are not accidents. They are evidence. Evidence of what you can become if you choose to commit. But commitment requires focus. And focus requires you to think about yourself, your goals, your habits, your mindset on a daily basis. Not once a year. Not when things go wrong, every single day. Because small, consistent actions create massive results over time. And the person you become is simply a reflection of what you do consistently. So if you want a different life, you have to start making different choices. You have to start thinking differently. You have to start showing up differently. And it begins with one simple decision: to stop living on autopilot, to stop reacting to life and start creating it, to stop waiting and start moving, to stop doubting and start believing. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. No one is going to do the work for you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. It's up to you. And that realization, that moment when you fully accept that responsibility, is where everything begins. So I'll leave you with this. Think about yourself. Not in a way that isolates you from others, but in a way that strengthens you. Think about your goals. Think about your habits. Think about the person you are becoming. And ask yourself every single day, am I moving closer to the life I want or further away from it? Because the answer to that question will determine everything. Protect your mental space like it determines your future, because it does. Because whether you realize it or not, every single thought you allow to stay, every influence you let in, every distraction you entertain is shaping the person you are becoming. Your mind is not just a place where thoughts happen. It is the control center of your life. It is where decisions are formed, where beliefs are built, where your direction is quietly decided long before any action is taken. And yet most people treat their mental space like it doesn't matter. They allow noise to enter without resistance. They consume content without questioning it. They entertain negativity as if it's harmless. They listen to opinions that weaken them, compare themselves to people they don't even know, and scroll through lives that make them feel like they are behind. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why they feel unmotivated, why they feel stuck. But the answer is not complicated. You cannot build a focused life with a distracted mind. You cannot create confidence with a mind full of doubt. You cannot move forward if your mental space is constantly pulling you backward. This is where everything begins. Not with action, not with results, with awareness, with the realization that your mind is not something you leave unguarded. It is something you protect, because the world is not neutral. It is constantly trying to influence you. Every platform, every conversation, every environment is pulling your attention in a certain direction. And if you are not intentional about what you allow into your mental space, then you will become a reflection of everything around you. Not a reflection of your potential, not a reflection of your purpose, a reflection of your environment. And that is dangerous, because most environments are not designed to help you grow. They are designed to keep you comfortable, to keep you entertained, to keep you distracted. And comfort, entertainment, distraction, they feel good in the moment, but they come at a cost. They cost you your focus. They cost you your discipline. They cost you your future. Think about how much of your day is spent reacting instead of choosing. You wake up, and before your mind has even had a moment to think for itself, it is already being filled. Notifications, messages, content noise. You are immediately pulled into a world that is not your own. And from that moment on, you are not in control. You are responding, you are consuming, you are absorbing. And every time you do that without awareness, you give away a piece of your mental space. You give away your clarity. You give away your direction. You give away your ability to think independently. And over time, that becomes your normal. You start to believe that it's okay to feel scattered, that it's normal to feel overwhelmed, that it's just the way things are. But it's not. It's a result of what you allow into your mind on a daily basis. So if you want to change your life, you have to start here. You have to become selective about what you watch, selective about what you listen to, selective about who you spend time with, selective about the conversations you entertain. Because every one of those things is either building you or breaking you. There is no neutral. Every piece of content you consume is either strengthening your mindset or weakening it. Every person you surround yourself with is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. Every thought you repeat is either empowering you or limiting you. And if you are not careful, the negative will always find a way in. Because negativity is louder. It is easier. It requires no effort. It spreads quickly. But growth requires intention. Growth requires discipline. Growth requires you to say no to things that feel easy and yes to things that challenge you. And that begins with protecting your mental space. It means setting boundaries, not just physical boundaries, but mental ones. It means recognizing when something is draining you, when something is distracting you, when something is pulling you away from who you are trying to become, and having the strength to step away from it, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it means disappointing others, even when it means being alone. Because sometimes protecting your peace requires distance. Distance from noise, distance from negativity, distance from anything that disrupts your focus. And that's not weakness. That's discipline. That's self-respect. That's understanding that your mind is too valuable to be filled with things that do not serve you. But here's where it gets even more important. Protecting your mental space is not just about what you remove. It's about what you replace it with. Because if you simply cut out distractions but don't fill that space with something meaningful, your mind will go back to what it knows. So you have to be intentional about what you allow in. You have to feed your mind with things that make you stronger, things that challenge you to think deeper, things that push you to grow. You have to create an environment, even if it's just within your own routine, where your mind is constantly being trained to focus, to improve, to move forward. And that takes effort. It takes discipline to sit with your own thoughts instead of reaching for your phone. It takes discipline to choose learning over entertainment. It takes discipline to stay focused when everything around you is trying to pull you away. But that discipline is what separates people who drift through life from those who take control of it. Because when you protect your mental space, something powerful happens. You start to hear yourself again. Your own thoughts become clearer. Your own goals become more defined. Your own direction becomes stronger. And instead of being influenced by everything around you, you begin to influence your own life. You begin to act with intention. You begin to move with purpose. You begin to build momentum. And momentum changes everything. Because once you start moving in the right direction, once your mind is aligned with your goals, once your focus is clear, you become unstoppable. Not because things get easier, but because you become stronger. Stronger in your thinking. Stronger in your discipline. Stronger in your ability to stay on track no matter what is happening around you. And that strength comes from the decisions you make every day about your mental space. The decision to turn off the noise. The decision to step away from negativity. The decision to focus on what matters. The decision to think for yourself. Because at the end of the day, your life is not determined by what happens to you. It is determined by how you think about what happens to you. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunities. One focuses on problems, the other focuses on solutions. One gets stuck, the other grows. And the difference is not the situation, it's the mindset, it's the mental space. It's what they allow themselves to think, to believe, to focus on. So if you want to change your future, you don't start with your circumstances. You start with your mind. You start with what you allow in. You start with what you choose to focus on, because your focus determines your direction, and your direction determines your results. It's that simple. But simple does not mean easy, because protecting your mental space means going against the norm. It means doing things differently. It means being intentional in a world that thrives on distraction. It means choosing growth in a world that promotes comfort. It means staying focused in a world that rewards attention, not discipline. And that can feel isolating. Because when you start to change, when you start to become more selective, when you start to protect your energy, people notice. Some will question you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will even resist your growth because your discipline reflects their lack of it. Your focus highlights their distractions. Your growth reminds them of what they are not doing. And not everyone is comfortable with that, but you cannot let that stop you. You cannot let other people's reactions determine your direction. Because the moment you do that, you lose control again. You go back to living based on external influence instead of internal clarity. And that's exactly what you are trying to break free from. So you have to stay grounded. You have to stay committed. You have to remind yourself why you started. Because protecting your mental space is not a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's something you choose over and over again. Every time you decide what to watch. Every time you decide what to listen to. Every time you decide how to respond to a situation. Every time you decide where to put your attention. Those small decisions, they add up. They shape your mindset. They shape your habits. They shape your future. And over time, they create a version of you that is either strong and focused or scattered and stuck. There is no in between. So you have to be honest with yourself. Look at your daily habits. Look at what you consume. Look at the conversations you engage in. Look at where your attention goes when you are not thinking about it. And ask yourself, does this align with the person I want to become? Does this strengthen me? Does this move me forward? Or is it holding me back? Because if it's holding you back, you have a choice. You can continue as you are, or you can change it. And change begins with awareness. It begins with recognizing that your mental space is not something you leave unprotected. It is something you guard, something you manage, something you take responsibility for. Because no one else will do it for you. No one else will filter what enters your mind. No one else will decide what you focus on. That is your responsibility. And it always will be. So if you want clarity, you have to create it. If you want focus, you have to build it. If you want growth, you have to protect the space where it begins, your mind. Because everything you want, every goal, every achievement, every transformation starts there, not outside, inside, in the way you think, in the way you see yourself, in the way you process the world around you. And when you take control of that, when you protect it, when you discipline it, you change everything. You change the way you act. You change the way you respond. You change the way you live. And slowly, quietly, your life begins to reflect that. Not because of luck, not because of circumstances, but because you made a decision to protect your mental space, a decision to take control, a decision to think about yourself in a way that actually moves you forward. And that decision, repeated every single day, becomes the foundation of everything you build from here.